Hey guys, this is Chad, and welcome to what I'm calling part 2 of my completely silent, totally fanless PC build. So when we left off, I had yet to install the silent fanless power supply and the silent fanless CPU heatsink cooler. But those parts have come. They're in these boxes. We're going to get to them. Let me tell you, though, while I was testing that computer, I was having a lot of problems. And I was thinking, maybe it's the power supply, but it's probably not the power supply. Maybe it's the motherboard, maybe it's the RAM, maybe it's the processor. I extensively tested the RAM. The processor, I didn't think it would be that. I didn't think it'd be the power supply, so I thought it must be the motherboard. So I was going to replace the motherboard, but I did also order a power supply tester. And the power supply tester indicated that the power supply had a problem with its 5 volts. So that's what was causing me crashes. So I tested it again with another power supply. I think it's all working as far as, installing Windows and such. But okay, now a little bit about this power supply. It's from Seasonic, and while some Seasonic products are sold other places, the only place I could find this one, which is their 500 watts, was at Newegg. So shout out to Newegg for having this power supply. It's the Seasonic 80 plus platinum. Look at that, platinum. Oh, platinum Seasonic. The 500 watt model, like I said, I think that's the lowest, least expensive one they have that's totally fanless. It says power supply, fully modular fanless design, 12 years warranty. Let me tell you, when I was testing the computer with a second power supply, that was a power supply where the fan didn't come on until it thought it needed it, and the fan never came on. So I really don't think I'm going to have a problem with an overheating power supply unit. You never do know, but boy, they choose to make the boxes weird sometimes. There we go. The end pops up. Haha. It's a very shiny box. Alright, what do we got? We got, dear valued customer, thank you for the purchase. Something about the coronavirus outbreak. $50 Steam e-gift. Ooh, oh no, enter for a chance to win. That's no good. Alright, let's see. Power supply installation guide. Looks like it's pretty standard stuff. It's got a mode on the back for the fan control type if your PSU has this option. They do make some that they call fanless, that they have a fan but you can run fanless, and that's probably what that switch is. This one probably doesn't have that switch. Let's see, it looks like they gave you zip ties and Velcro strips and screws for installation and power management. Oh, and they got a badge powered by Seasonic. Oh, it's a badge, a sticker for your computer, but it's like a thick sticker. Like in the old days, you could put in that special badge spot. Standard power cord. All of the cables for the, what do they call that? Oh, more cables for that, whatever they call that. Modular. All the cables for the modular design. And a chunk of foam. It's a nice chunk of foam. They wrapped it in like a velvet case. Ooh. A little drawstring at the top. And the drawstring's even tied, so you got to untie it to fully open the drawstring. And then finally, you can present yourself with your power supply. That's a nice little bag. User manual. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. And there it is. Try to get a close-up of that too. You can see there is no fan in there. I don't know how close I can get, but there is no fan in there. All the modular stuff on the back. Seasonic on the side. I imagine you do not want to install this one upside down. The heat sinks, they look well designed. They don't look super substantial. I like to see a lot of aluminum in those heat sinks, but they do look very well designed. So I'm sure they had some engineering go into that. All right. Open up these modular guys. Probably have scissors for this. We got Molex connectors on this one, and we got SATA connectors on this one, and more SATA connectors, and I'm not sure we're going to need any of these. Probably didn't need to cut open that bag. I might need them later. I might install extra storage with a regular SATA drive. All right. 24-pin connector, we're definitely going to need that. This looks like it's a PCI Express, maybe for the video, if you have a fancy video card. There's two of them in case you got two fancy video cards. Molex to SATA adapter in case you didn't get enough SATA cables. This is the extra power for the PCU. We're going to need that one. And then this one is also extra power for the CPU. In case you're running dual CPUs, I know that exists. I guess you can do that with this. Alright. You know what? I should test the Molex connector just for fun. And the extra video card thing. This, by the way, does not have a SATA power connector on it, so I guess that's one place. No, because it's backwards. Alright. Untying cables. RJ21. Most of these have a side you're supposed to plug into the power supply. This one doesn't say. It just says RJ21, but it looks like they've got two clips here, so that's how that goes. So they've got four connectors that are all marked CPU / PCI Express. So either one, I guess. You don't have to use like one or the other, because sometimes those PCI, those other ones are like different colors. Actually, it makes me feel more confident about plugging things in when they only have one purpose. Okay, and these ones we're just going to do to play around with the power supply. Untwisting cables. No doubt. Alright. Okay, we're going to plug this into the tester. 24 pin goes on the bottom. CPU plug goes here. And the Molex connector goes in the middle. That's not a very tight fit. And we got one more here. We got PCI Express. Alright, I already have a cable out, so I'm not going to use that. See if the power is on. The power is, we'll turn the power off here. We'll plug this in the back. We'll turn the power on the power strip. And turn the power on here. And now we got lights on our tester. And it says the 24 pin's connected, the PCI is connected, the CPU is connected, and the Molex is connected. So now when you press the power on this guy, usually the fan would go on this thing if that's how it worked, but oh dear, it's only reading 4.9 volts on the 5 volts. I don't like that, but it's showing blue all the way across. If the power supply, if it says it fails, it goes red, it puts an F on there. So 12 volts on the 12 volts, 3.2 on the 3.2. Wow, that's, you know, you like to see the 5 volt at least 5 volt. You press the button again, and it should switch. Let's see, PCI says 12 volts. The CPU says 12 volts. And the Molex says 4.9 on the 5 and 12 on the 12. So I don't know why it's only giving me 4.9. I tell you, brand new, it should be 5. But 4.9 is probably within the parameters, which is why the tester doesn't say it's an immediate fail. But this is really weird that this is quiet. It's like you can't even tell it's on. I'm going to put my ear next to this and see if I can hear it buzz. I can't. So, oh, now it's switched to 5 as it was going down. We'll try it one more time. Oh, I heard a click in there when I turned it on. Now it's saying 5 instead of 4.9. So, hey, cycle through 12 on the CPU, and on the Molex connector 5. So, press it again, and something ticked in there when it went off. So, I'm just peeling off this little piece of plastic, which looks like it left some residue behind in there. Boy, they did not test their plastic residue leave behind before they bought it. Oh well. Well, wasn't that fun? That's the exciting kind of stuff you get when you watch videos on my channel. Boy, I said that Molex connector was not a tight fit, but it did not want to come out. Alright. Now we have to take some of this stuff out, because for now anyway, we are not installing video cards or external SATA or anything that needs a Molex. We just need the motherboard stuff. Okay. Next we have the heat sinks, which came from Amazon. Now there's a second heatsink in here that I got for the SSD, but it looks like the SSD I have is too sophisticated to put into the second SSD slot, which is not controlled by the processor but by the motherboard. So I don't think this is going to fit. So I'm probably going to have to send it back and get a smaller one. But I will show it to you just because we're having fun with opening the boxes. Alright, look at that. It's the dual heat pipe SSD cooler, which is just ridiculous. But the SSD would sandwich in there, so you'd put it in there and you'd put the screws in, and that would hold it up against this plate, the chips up against that plate, and then that plate the heat pipes, well, first off, the fins are connected right to it, but the heat pipe would bring it up here and up there to help bring that heat up to the top faster. But I'm pretty sure there is no way this is going to fit underneath that massive heatsink. So short of buying a different SSD, because I have a little inland SSD that's not so sophisticated that works in that second port, but for whatever reason the fancy Western Digital drive will not work in that port. So this is not going to fit, I don't think. We'll try it, but okay, now to the big guy. Oh man, look at this box. It's the size of this box makes me afraid that there's no way that this heatsink is going to work like I want it to work, because it's just massive. And they did some kind of weird thing to seal this bag up. I better just cut it open, but I don't know. Now I'm like, have to figure out how this bag opens. Okay, there's a line of glue along here. So this is the top of the bag. And they glued it up with the line of glue. Because this is fulfilled by Amazon, but it's sold by Noctua. So it's sitting in Amazon's warehouse inside this plastic bag, so that the box would stay nice. Look at that, and the box is nice. Oh, raised lettering. Let's see, now I gotta show off this box. Alright, where's the front of the box? That's the front of the box. So it's got a little, I think that's printed on there, but it's like raised, so it looks like it's a sticker. Foil. Fanless cooling for high-end CPUs. And this is raised here too. And yeah, NHP1 passive CPU cooler. They could also call that a massive CPU cooler. Designed for passive cooling from the ground up, increased performance headroom with optional 120mm fan. No noise, less dust, 100% fail-proof. Asymmetrical layout for optimal PCI Express compatibility. 100% RAM clearance on the Intel LGA 17XX/1200 and AM4. SecuFirm 2 Torx-based multi-socket mounting system, NTH2 next-gen thermal compound, and 6-year manufacturer's warranty. But yeah, that's some nice packaging. Is this the optional fan? Nope, it's just parts. I was going to say, I didn't think it came with an optional fan. I thought the fan was optional. Oh, there it is. Can you see it? I think the box is empty now. Okay. Still has a piece of cardboard on it. How do I take that off? I didn't think that would be difficult. Oh, there we go. Just kind of pops off, but there it is. That thing is really big. It's not quite as big as I was fearing, but I guess they don't call these fins, they call them plates. They're big, thick aluminum plates. And you've got 6 heat pipes coming down from the base. Now this has a plastic cap on it, like often they have on the cheap ones to keep the thermal paste from getting yucked. But this, I'm sure, is just to keep the bottom nice and smooth. So yeah, little spring. Oh, that's a tough spring too. The mounting. These go onto some metal clips that connect to the board. But yeah, we'll have to see how that works. But the thing is just massive. And it's got to sit, it can't sit like this. I mean, there are plenty of holes, so maybe it could, but ideally it doesn't sit like this. It sits like this, so the air can rise. But those little holes are probably there just in case somebody sets it on the wrong side and air can still get out. But this is Noctua on there. All right. Okay, so we got it. We got this and we got the power supply. Can I set that down? Nope, it's off balance. And we got stuff in here. I might as well continue the unboxing. We have instructions here for AMD and for LGA. We have common parts, which include clips for the optional fan. It looks like a cleaning cloth and their thermal paste. I heard about this. It comes with a Torx screwdriver, their specialized Torx screwdriver. It's got these little clips, which I think are gonna clamp onto this guy. Although this says LGA, so I imagine I'm probably going to use the clip that came with my motherboard, or the plate, the back plate. And maybe these are for Intel too. Do they say? No, they don't. They might be universal, but then here's the AMD set. So somehow that's going to work. And we got a bunch of screws and spacers and such. And one more little bag that has more spacers and more screws. So, won't that be fun? Alright. That's just the cardboard boxes in there now. Alright, I guess that means all the stuff is unboxed. It's time to get to work. Well, maybe I better read instructions. Thank you for choosing the Noctua, blah, blah, blah. This manual will guide you through the process, blah, blah, blah. Make sure your case has enough airflow. Double check that the clips do not make contact with the VGA card. Speaking of VGA card, I could mention that I am considering maybe getting a VGA card with a fanless one, but the problem with that is VGA cards, even the ones that don't have fans on them, are designed for cases that have air flowing through them. In this case, it will have some air movement because of convection, but it really won't have air flowing through it. So I'm not sure it'd be a good idea to put even kind of a lower end VGA card in there. I might try it, but that won't be in this video. Alright. Not suitable for overclocking or CPUs that create high workloads. Required mounting parts. The AMD stock backplate, which was included with the motherboard. 2 NMAMB8s. That's these guys here. 2 NMAMB8s, 4 times NMALSI, which look like they're in this bag here, 4 times NMAPS4 gray plastic spacers, and 4 times white plastic spacers. For AM2, okay, so we don't need the white ones because we got AM4. But if you really want to cool your old processors, you need these white ones for your AM3 and your AM2. I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure I had an AM2 processor at one point. I don't remember the AM3, but that doesn't mean I never had one. I might have gone right from AM2 to AM4, though. Alright. Use the gray spacers for AM4. Use the set of holes marked with 4 for AM4. And it looks like that's the outside holes. Or, well, that's if that's the outside, otherwise the further out ones anyway. So it looks like this goes through this hole and then through the gray spacer where it's going to meet the stock plate. And it's not the outside, it's the inside, because they're curved in toward there. And looks like you put it together, and then you put on the thermal paste. And if you use too much, it'll lower heat, conductivity, and cooling performance. It recommends that you put them on in a 5 dots, where you got 4 small dots in the outside corners and then 1 dot in the middle. But I like to spread it out, so that's probably what I'll do. So you take the protection off, then put the heatsink on the CPU and screw it to the screw threads of the mounting bars. Note that you can reach through the blades of the fan using the supplied screwdriver. 2 to 3 turns on each screw, then repeat until both are fully tightened. Don't use excessive force. Looks like that's the end of the instructions. The rest talks about the fan setup, which I would really hate to do, because the whole point of this is a silent, fanless computer. I really don't think I'm going to have a problem with that, though. Place the fan on the heatsink. Yeah, fan. Transporting your system. They recommend taking the cooler off before you transport the computer, which makes sense. Yep, that's it. Alright, I think I know how to do it. I'm going to have to remove that other CPU first, though. And all of this stuff looks like it's Intel parts. So, yeah. Oh, remember I was talking about the badge with the power supply? There's a Noctua badge too. Alright. That's what I was looking for. I'm going to put all the extra parts that are mostly the Intel parts and put them in the bag that says AMD set. So hopefully that will never confuse anybody in the future. Where's the computer? There it is. Just tidying up a little bit here off the camera. Alright, here's the computer. So just like before, I have not set up my top-down camera. Maybe I should install that power supply for grounding purposes. I don't know. I think I'm not going to. I got an old radiator here I can ground myself on. Now I'm a little concerned that this M.2 slot doesn't sound like the right thing to call it, but this M.2 SSD slot is going to be totally inaccessible once I have that monster on. But we'll deal with that if it comes. Alright. That is off. Now I'm going to go get some Q-tips and paper towels and see if I can't get that thermal paste off. I just applied it a little bit ago, so it shouldn't be a problem. Now, I'm almost certainly going to have to take the back of the case off, but I don't think I'm going to have to pull the motherboard out. Fingerprints on this heatsink here. Too much manhandling. Alright, it's looking pretty clean. certainly doesn't look as clean as it did before. That is the price I pay for being impatient and wanting to test it before all the parts came. Okay, yep, I'm going to need access to the back there. It looks like the plate fell down almost all the way. Now it fell down all the way. There it is. Okay, turn it around here. Hopefully you can see that a little bit. I'm going to set the plate there. Of course it's going to fall off as soon as I let go of it. So maybe, I was hoping I could show it to you, but I might have to set it down. I will show you the installation of the second part of the clip. Those have the Torx screwdriver. There are the Torx driver ends on them also. So the need spacers. We want the curve toward the processor. I think it's going to be too hard to get those screws in one spot. Alright, so I got them mostly in. But you can see the screws and the gray spacers can go into the back plate, the factory AMD back plate. So tighten them all the way down, but not too tight. I think it'd be kind of hard to over tighten these, but I'm not going to push my luck too much. I once pulled the anchors out of the Visa mount on the back of a television because I over tightened it. I thought, I won't be able to over tighten that. So, keeping it pretty good. Alright, I just noticed this, so I gotta show you. The screwdriver says Noctua on it, and it said Noctua brown. I suppose that's their logo up on the top. Alright. Got that on there. Now, I'm just going to kind of dry fit this in here to see what it looks like. Do I want to put it in like this? Or, I suppose I should be doing this where you can see it. Okay. I want to put it in here like this, so it's right above the heatsink for the MOSFET. Or do I want to put it like this, so it's overhanging the RAM? Probably don't want to overhang the RAM. This doesn't seem like a good idea. Plus, that RAM lights up. So, yeah. Am I in camera even? No, that RAM lights up. So, yeah. I think that's the proper way to install it. think I'm going to put the back of the case on though, because I think it helps be a little smoother on the table. Alright, get the back on. We're going to install it like this. These anchors go onto this, so it's like a reverse screw. So we get to apply the thermal paste. The instructions said 4 dots that are 2 millimeters in diameter and 1 dot that's 3 to 4 millimeters in diameter, which, you know, I am an American and I know inches and I know what a millimeter is, but I don't have as good of an idea in my head of what it is. I mean, I have an idea, but it's not like, yeah. Alright, they gave us this cleaning wipe. Should I use this? It was designed in Austria. Clean the CPU or the GPU with one side of the wipe, fold it in half, and use the other side to clean the contact surface of the heatsink. Discard wipe and domestic waste and wash your hands with soap. Wash your hands with soap. If slight residue remains after cleaning, you may use a dry paper towel or tissue to polish them off, but such residues are of visual concern only and will not impair performance. Why not? If I don't use it now, I'll just be saving it forever. That's a shiny surface. It's not like a mirror polish, but it's very shiny. Fold in half. Wash your hands. Skip the part where you polish it with the residue. Ooh, it did leave a residue behind. You know, it was probably cleaner before. Alright, enough of that. Alright. 4 small dots, 2 millimeters. And 1 large dot, 4 millimeters. Wait a minute. It stopped. Is that all I get? I hadn't done my dots yet. I almost said, why don't they just include as much as you need? But they didn't even include that much. Alright, we're going to see if we can spread out that amount, which is not enough. It probably is enough, but I want more. Alright, we need something to spread it out with. Usually use a little piece of cardboard or something. Probably use one of those badges they sent me. I seem to have a lot of these G-Skill stickers. I'm going to try using that. Alright, I think I got it spread as good as I'm gonna get it. I've got to tell you that I would have used more if I could have, but I think I've got it spread out and it's covering the whole thing, so I think it's enough, but I would have used more. If I didn't have any, I would have gone upstairs and gotten my tube out and started squirting some on there, and it would have been more, but that's okay. I think it's enough. It's probably better with less. That's what the science says. And look at this. They didn't hardly give you any, and it's all gone, but they got a nice little screw-on cap, so you can put the cap back on and keep it nice and tight. Whew. All right. Got that on. Now, I really would like to... I should have a top-down camera on this for you. I am such a slacker. I gotta kind of try to align this so that those things hit the screw tops. And then I gotta get my screwdriver down here, catch the screw, and I think that one's engaged. And this one, it's harder to see the screw. Maybe I can see it through the vent on the top. Oh yeah, it's pretty well there. That one's engaged. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I think that one might hit the bottom. 1, 2, 3. Oh. That's the bottom on that one. And yep, that one hit the bottom too. So it is on there. It is installed. I thought that might be more difficult, but... Alright, everybody. Take a look at that. Let's see, where is that? Oh yeah, you can see that pretty good. We'll bring it a little closer. So there it is. I guess you'd put the extra fan up here on top if you wanted the fan. Maybe you could clip it on this outside here too. But there it was. That's the hard part. I think that power supply will go in there pretty easy. After all, it's just a standard power supply. I always wish I could like see down there and like make sure that there's no gap between the processor, but it's pretty hard to see in there. Need a special camera just for that specific thing. All right, power supply. Just kidding. There it goes. It'll sit like that. There's a little bit of clearance underneath, I think. That's how it's going to be. And there's a big vent hole in the bottom of the computer. If you wanted to install a power supply upside down, you do that sometimes, and then it would suck air straight in with the fan and the power supply. But of course this fan doesn't have that, but that will be nice because it will draw some cool air, will come in up there and cool the power supply. But this case is going to be very open, so there should be a lot of air coming in a lot of places. But the only thing that's going to be driving the air is, again, the convection from the heat will carry the air up. So cool air will come in and the hot air will exit through the big vent on the top of the case. That's the theory anyhow. Oh, and look, that I still have pretty good access to the M2 slot there. It's pretty close to the mount though. Let me just grab that other heatsink just for fun. I'm pretty sure that's not going to fit, but like I said, just for fun. Yeah, that is totally not going to fit. They actually make a smaller one heat pipe version that maybe will fit, but I don't know. I don't know if that'll work, but it might. And I'd have to get it in there at like that right angle to make it work, because the SSD goes up at an angle. So yeah, but this will definitely not work. That's going to be returned. But it was silly anyway. It was more about the looks, I think. But I will find some other thing. I wasn't real happy with the frozer that came with it. It's got that built-in heatsink. I think I showed you in the last video, but when I took it off, it like wasn't. You could tell it wasn't making contact with all the chips on the SSD, which means that the chips that weren't getting contact weren't getting any heatsink contact, and then the airflow was blocked by the heatsink. So I don't think I'm going to run the factory heatsink on there, but yeah, there it is. Okay, back to the power supply. Screwdriver, and the power supply came with some screws. Where did I put those? Ah, they're in this bag with the badge and the zip ties and all the fun stuff. Now I see the badge on the back of this power supply, and looks like I am installing it upside down. According to the thing on the back, it says to install it, that way. But I don't know. I don't feel like the vents. You want the vents on the top, right? I guess maybe you want the vents on the bottom, because then the air can get into it, and the hot air is going to rise toward the board and then go out. I mean, it could work, but I'm going to leave it like this. I think that's the better way. Of course, I might be running this case on its side anyway, but I don't know. Probably not. Okay. Installed. Now, do we want to run this through, like, for proper cable management? Or do we just want to plug it in because we're impatient and we want to be able to show you how cool it is? Alright. Take the back side of the case off once again. And we'll shove this through this hole. This case had grommets around these holes too. This is the part where I kind of don't like. You're really kind of deforming these cables to make them go how you want them to go. And deforming isn't the right word, but you got a lot more bends in them that you'd have if you just ran a straight course. Now for this, I think it makes a little more sense. Oh, I probably should have plugged that in before I put the heatsink on. Oh, that's going to be tricky. Okay. So, looks like the cable needs a twist. Should we put the twist in on this side? Yeah, I think so. The cable's long enough, that's the good news. The bad news is, oh man, this is tricky. I definitely should have ran this cable first. Oh man, I'm gonna get it, but man, maybe a pair of needle nose pliers to hold it in place. Doesn't help that I can't hardly see that. Alright, I'm going to bring this light in a little closer. Really didn't help too much. I am not going to take this heatsink off so I can get this wire in place. Famous last words. Did I get it? I got half of it. Now the other half's going to be impossible. Looks like it's there. Oh, there it is. There it is, I got it! Yay! Alright. Plugs are plugged in. I cannot see them there though. But they're plugged in. I plugged them in, so they're plugged in. Whew, that was more of a job than I thought it was going to be getting those wires in. Okay, we got the main motherboard 24 pin in, and we got the 8 pin for the CPU power. We got that in place, we got that in place, and we got everything. I'll probably manage these cables later. But let's get this thing running, shall we? Alright. This DisplayPort cable, and this is AC power cable. AC power cable for the computer is here, and this is still turned off. That's still turned off, and we'll get the keyboard here. And a mouse, which is not... I was having trouble with this mouse earlier because it has buttons on the side. Buttons on the side, and I accidentally hit that button, which is the back button by default. And, you know, suddenly it's going back. I don't want it to go back. So maybe I'll probably use a different mouse in the future, but maybe I'll take that mouse apart, take those buttons out. Alright, so we got everything plugged in. We're going to give main power here, and we're going to turn the power on to the new silent power supply. And let me check to make sure that you can see that. Yeah, you should be able to see that just fine. Power on. Press the power button and you'll see lights come on. Light comes on. And you can't tell it's running hardly. There are the lights on the fancy RAM that I didn't need. And you can see Windows is starting. I've named the user on this computer Silent Computer. There you got it, Windows. See, it's running and the computer is perfectly silent. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's not really that exciting. I don't know. I feel like maybe I should do some stress testing on it. See how hot we can get this thing. So I have maybe, I'll probably cut the video here. I'm going to go online and look for, a CPU temperature tester. No internet. Oh. OpenHardwareMonitor.org. I have used that before. Download. Download now. Show in folder. It's a zip file. We are going to extract all. Extract. Open hardware monitor. Open hardware monitor. Alright. So we have got the CPU package runs at 30 degrees. Can't get individual temperatures for the CPU cores, I guess. Oh well, that's okay. Alright, now I put another program on here earlier when I was troubleshooting the power supply called CPU Z, which I don't think shows temperature, which I thought, why doesn't it show temperature? But it does have a stress test. So, let me get the that shows the Ryzen 5. Task manager running. And we want the hardware monitor. So the monitor's running at 1% right now. Not the monitor, the processor's running at 1% right now according to the task manager. The hardware monitor, there we go. All right. Mainboard, memory, bench, there we go. Stress CPU. And now you can see it's shot to 100%. So it's 9:27 right now. See how long it takes to get that temperature up. It's already gone up to 44 degrees. I think it was 40 when I started this stress test. It's slowly climbing. 45 degrees. I know in the old days you really, they'd say you might melt your processor if you got to 90. It's 90 Celsius centigrade, 90 C. But I don't think that's true anymore. I think processors can handle higher than 90 now. But you still, I think 90, you really don't want it to get to 90. And of course this is 100% utilization of the processor. There we go. There's the Windows resource monitor and it shows... Okay, so it shows the different cores, and you can see that they are all at 100%. And it's showing 12 cores. It only has 6 cores, but it's got the hyper threading, so showing 12 cores. But 6 cores, 12 at full usage. We're still stressing it, and the temperature has now gotten up to almost 50 degrees without a fan running. You know what else? I meant to plug in a little watt meter so we could see how many watts this thing was drawing. With the CPU at full load, it's probably drawing 65 watts plus, because that's what the CPU is. But I imagine most of the time it's not going to draw that much. But yeah, here we are. We're only a couple minutes of stress and it's already gone from 40 degrees to 50 degrees. There was another fanless cooler I was looking at. See, but this is not at all hot. So there's a lot of thermal mass in all these aluminum plates, so it takes a while to heat it up. I'd actually feel better if it was hot, because then I'd know I had good connection to the good heat conductivity to the CPU. 52, 52.8. Well, it is not climbing like mad, so that's good. 53. I really don't think I'd worry until it got to 70. I don't know at what temperature it starts to throttle the processor, but that's what that's the big thing I want to avoid, is the processor being throttled. See, now here it's showing 100% usage on the processors, but over here it's showing that the load on these processors is not actually 100% all the time. It varies. It goes from 0 all the way up to like 94%, 95%. Yeah, drawing 52 watts in the processor. Temperature's at 55. It's getting a little warmer. The power supply does not seem warm at all, but again, the thing's probably running on less than 100 watts, so it's not like there's a massive pull on the power supply. I don't think that'll be a problem with the power supply overheating ever. And no heat in there either. Nor in the memory. Nor in the SSD, but we're not really working the SSD, so I gotta say I'm kind of impressed. It seems to be working, seems to be doing a full load. It's not getting super hot super fast. Again, these fins are slowly getting warmer. It'd be interesting to know, and I guess we'll run this test for a while. It'll be a long, boring video, guys, if you want to hang out. But it'll be interesting to see, like, once the aluminum gets hot, at that point, how long is it going to take for the CPU to get cooler? Or will it reach equilibrium before the thing gets hot, since it's only that 65 watt processor? It's almost to 60 degrees. Like I said before, or in the first video, I really did. I didn't try that hard, but I did try to find a 35 watt CPU that was still pretty fast. Like I said, they make a version of this one that this is the something G. Isn't that 5600G, I think? But they make one that's the GE instead, and it's basically the same processor, but it's a little slower, and it only runs on 35 watts. 62 degrees. Well, I may cut out here. I might decide to clip it and come back later. $61 degrees. So it's actually gone down. It doesn't look like it's been throttled or anything. And those cores are still reaching up into the 90s. It went up back up to, we might have reached equilibrium here at 62.4, 62.5 degrees, 62.8 is the max. Maybe it'll get a little hotter, but I think we're going to be fine. We can probably tax this processor full load and it's never going to hit 70 degrees on the silent PC. Yeah, it feels a little warmer, but I think we've kind of reached an equilibrium, which is nice. Yeah, that'll work well. I don't think I want to run it in the summer in the 90-degree heat. But yeah, it's gotten up to 63 now, 63.1. It's climbing again, but slower. .6, 0.8. Oh. Thought I'd been inactive too long. I usually turn that way longer than that. Let's see. It hasn't quite been 10 minutes, but maybe I wiggled the mouse before then. .4. All right, I am going to clear this off. I'm going to leave it running, but I'm going to do an on-camera outro here. Say my goodbyes. Wires hanging all over the place. Yeah, that heatsink's getting a little hotter. All right, where are we? We're going to turn this off so we're not fighting with it. All right, here we are. So I want to thank everybody for watching. If there's any developments in the future, I can add them to the description down below, but I'm not anticipating anything. It seems to be working really well. And I'll probably keep this video running. Maybe I'll clip in a little more after if I need to, or maybe before this outro that I do. If anything drastic happens in the next half hour or so, but I'm not going to keep it running forever. I got to finish putting it together. You know, just get the sides back on. I guess I could put the side back on for you. That'd be some very good video. But anyway, so stay tuned for the special feature after I close here. You can get the side. You can see the side put on the computer. All right. I shouldn't laugh at my own jokes. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. All right. Good night, everybody. Oh. Ooh, I can feel a little heat coming off the top there now. I mean, not like hot, but I can definitely feel the hot air coming up. Yeah, it's definitely capturing some heat. And the heat pipes are warm. Processor still feels relatively cool. But yeah, there is hot air rising. There's no question. Convection at work. But there, now you can see the window. I'll let a lot of cool air in. Convection will bring it up out of the top. It's working already. Maybe toast a little marshmallow. Good night, everybody. 66 degrees. This is just a test to see, hey, can you see me? Hey, yeah.